This is one of the most important questions you can ask your basketball player if you are a basketball parent. And that question is, do you want to get better or do you want to play with your friends? Because in most cases, those two things are not the same. You can't have one without the other. Of course, there is exceptions where you can have both. Let me explain. In most cases, let's just call somebody Johnny, right? Johnny plays on a travel team. All of Johnny's friends, so let's say sixth grade boys, they're in the same school, they're in the same class, they're all on the same team. There's a social dynamic. There is peer pressure from the kids, and then that trickles down to the parents to play on this team. Everybody gets along, everyone's friends, everyone's cool, it's fun. You go on road trips together. Parents are, there. Everyone's, having dinners, and it's fun. And you're creating memories. And I'm not saying that's bad, but if you're somebody who's in Johnny's case, where he's not one of the top two players on the team, what happens is he's not playing a lot in the game, and these like travel teams, quote unquote travel teams, they barely practice. And when they do practice, they're not working on like skill development. They're working on like running inbounds plays. And then at the end, they play like knockout. And it's somebody's dad and nobody's paying attention. And the guy's a great guy, but he's probably not, doesn't have much experience with teaching kids and he just wants to volunteer and he's probably doing a great job. But is Johnny, let's say in this instance, your child, is he getting better? Or maybe that's you. In most cases, the answer is no. Again, if your child's a top one or two player on a team, this probably doesn't apply to you. But what happens is there's pressure, there's social pressure to play on this team when he could be doing something else that actually helps him improve, like a skill development program. And if you've been to the channel before, you probably know that's what I do for a living. I have a skill development training business. So of course I'm biased. But I do what I do because I know and I believe that's what helps kids the most. I'm not saying don't play on any teams ever. What I am saying is if your child's not a top two player on every team, they're not going to get the repetition that they need to reach their potential. So what happens is they stay above those top one or two players on the teams, always stay above those other kids because they're doing the same stuff, right? So how is Johnny, going back to Johnny, if Johnny's not playing in the game and the team barely practices, Johnny plays 7 minutes, he gets 2 shots. How could he possibly be getting better at basketball? He's having fun, and that's great. Not saying don't do it, but if that's all Johnny does, right, he's never going to catch those kids. And there's going to come a time where, as kids get older, it gets more competitive. Some people are going to get cut. Let's say they're in sixth grade now, they go into seventh grade, eighth grade. Now all of a sudden, Johnny doesn't make the middle school team. Johnny wants to play in high school. Johnny doesn't make the high school team, or he does, and now he's sitting on the bench eating popcorn, watching Billy and Joey on senior night, and he's a senior too, and he doesn't even get in the game. So most parents make this mistake. They think, oh, they're on a team. Yeah, okay, he's not getting better, but they're all friends. You got to make a sacrifice. And I'm not saying one's not better than the other. So make sure my mic is on. One's not better than the other. There's no right or wrong answer. You just have to ask your child, do you want to get better? Or do you want to play with your friends? Especially if they're not one of the top two players on the team. If your kid loves basketball and they're like, oh, I want to do this in high school and mom, I want to go to this college. And I'm not saying it's going to come true. I have no idea. But if you want to put them in the best position to help them succeed, you're going to have to make a choice, most likely, where you do something in addition or something different to replace it. For me, obviously, like I said, I'm biased, and my skill development program, I know it truly helps kids not just increase their skills, but increase their confidence because we have a mindset component, and then we also have a component of doing homework assignments at home and then posting videos and getting online feedback. And it's not possible for somebody's dad who's volunteering, who has another job, to give them the support that somebody who does it for their career. And you could do this skill development. You have a skill development business and be terrible at it. Um, but you're most likely going to be better at it than somebody who's not all in on it. So my advice, if your son is or daughter is in that Johnny position where you're like, oh, we love these kids and these parents, but he's not getting better and he's not playing, and how's he going to get better if he's taking one shot? You got to ask him, do you want to get better? Do you want to play with your friends? And you got to do some future pacing. How do you feel if this is the rest of your basketball career playing behind these kids and you never get in, and you could be friends. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just choose one. It's you got to make sacrifices if you want to get better, or just do something in addition to it. Like in my skill development program, we have kids that play on all these numerous teams, but they know if you don't do anything on your own, whether you do it at home or with a coach, you're not going to improve. Yeah, you'll get older and taller, and maybe you get bigger, faster, stronger, but skill is the separator. And team practices, your team coach's job is not to make you better. I just had another video on that. My last video was on that. So I keep reiterating myself, but ask the question: do you want to get better, or do you want to play with your friends? Because in most cases, it's not going to be the same. My name is Coach Nick Aldiro. If you found this video helpful, make sure you click that subscribe button. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And if you're looking for more help for in-person skill development training, if you live in Monmouth County, New Jersey, check out the link in the description. And if you're looking for online help improving your skills, there'll also be a link in the description. All right, I will see you next video.